Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Sometimes followed by to, minor or casual or subordinate in significance or nature or occurring as a chance concomitant or consequence. Incidental expenses. A public disturbance. The police investigated an incident at the bus station. A single distinct event. Falling or striking of light rays on something. Incident light. Not of prime or central importance. Occurring with or following as a consequence. Snags incidental to the changeover in management. Frequently plural, an expense not budgeted or not specified. He requested reimbursement of $7 for incidental expenses. Sometimes followed by to, minor or casual or subordinate in significance or nature or occurring as a chance concomitant or consequence. Incidental expenses. An item that is incidental. Coil such that current is induced in it by passing a current through the primary coil. Inferior in rank or status. Being of second rank or importance or value, not direct or immediate. The stone will be hauled to a secondary crusher. Belonging to a lower class or rank. Depending on or incidental to what is original or primary. A secondary infection. Not of major importance. Played a secondary role in world events. The defensive football players who line up behind the linemen. Capable of being left out. Qualifying or explaining. Placed or as if placed in parentheses. Parenthetical remarks. Qualifying or explaining. Placed or as if placed in parentheses. Parenthetical remarks. An expression in parentheses. His writing was full of parentheticals. Electronic equipment external to the circuit board that contains the CPU of a computer. Disk drives and printers are important peripherals. On or near an edge or constituting an outer boundary, the outer area. Russia's peripheral provinces. Related to the key issue but not of central importance. A peripheral interest. The relative frequency of occurrence of something. The striking of a light beam on a surface. He measured the angle of incidence of the reflected light. A disorderly outburst or tumult. 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 The act of making a noisy disturbance. A disorderly outburst or tumult. Confused movement. A commotion of people fought for the exits. An act of delaying or interrupting the continuity. A disorderly outburst or tumult. An event that results in a displacement or discontinuity. The act of causing disorder. A noisy fight. A disorderly outburst or tumult. They were amazed by the furious disturbance they had caused. Electrical or acoustic activity that can disturb communication. Psychiatry. A psychological disorder of thought or emotion. A more neutral term than mental illness. Activity that is a malfunction, intrusion, or interruption. He looked around for the source of the disturbance. An unhappy and worried mental state. There was too much anger and disturbance. The act of disturbing something or someone. Setting something in motion. A disorderly outburst or tumult. The motion made by flapping up and down. Wink briefly. A disorderly outburst or tumult. Move back and forth very rapidly. Beat rapidly. Move along rapidly and lightly, skim or dart. The act of moving back and forth. Abnormally rapid beating of the auricles of the heart, especially in irregular rhythm, can result in heart block. Flap the wings rapidly or fly with flapping movements. The seagulls fluttered overhead. An event that happens. An instance of something occurring. A disease of frequent occurrence. An event that happens. Presently occurring, either causally or incidentally. Technical terms are rarely occurrent in literature. An event that happens. An event that happens. An incident that attracts great public attention. An incident in which an infectious disease is transmitted. Any disease easily transmitted by contact. The communication of an attitude or emotional state among a number of people. A contagion of mirth. An incident in which an infectious disease is transmitted. The communication of an attitude or emotional state among a number of people. The infection of his enthusiasm for poetry. International law. Illegality that taints or contaminates a ship or cargo, rendering it liable to seizure. Medicine. The invasion of the body by pathogenic microorganisms and their multiplication, which can lead to tissue damage and disease. Moral corruption or contamination. Ambitious men are led astray by an infection that is almost unavoidable. Phonetics. The alteration of a speech sound under the influence of a neighboring sound. The pathological state resulting from the invasion of the body by pathogenic microorganisms. The context and environment in which something is set. Graphic art consisting of the graphic or photographic representation of a visual percept. He painted scenes from everyday life. A situation treated as an observable object. The religious scene in England has changed in the last century. The visual percept of a region. The painted structures of a stage set that are intended to suggest a particular locale. They worked all night painting the scenery. A display of bad temper. He made a scene. A consecutive series of pictures that constitutes a unit of action in a film. An incident, real or imaginary. Their parting was a sad scene. A subdivision of an act of a play. The first act has 3 scenes. The place where some action occurs. The police returned to the scene of the crime. A minor show that is part of a larger one, as at the circus. A subordinate incident of little importance relative to the main event. Instruction is not an educational sideshow. The gears that transmit power from an automobile engine via the driveshaft to the live axle. An incident in which an infectious disease is transmitted. The fraction of radiant energy that passes through a substance. The act of sending a message, causing a message to be transmitted. communication by means of transmitted signals. A part of a broadcast serial. Film consisting of a succession of related shots that develop a given subject in a movie. A brief section of a literary or dramatic work that forms part of a connected series. A happening that is distinctive in a series of related events.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.